Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Sean here at Blue Ridge Silverhound. Quick little surprise video. Pocket change market report for the November 27 day, Turkey Day, that is. Hope everyone's having a great, safe day as you're deep frying those turkeys. You're catching some foosball and enjoying some of the parade action. Hope everyone's doing great, spending time with family. So we're just gonna do this video like we normally do. I guess really not normal that we do them on Thursday. Usually we do them on Wednesday, but I'm out of town, so I have to kind of fit it in where it works. We're going to take a look and deep dive into the current existing secondary market for all sorts of different neat coin finds, right? We're kind of in that time of year where folks are wrapping up those coins, they're taking them back to the bank, which realistically offers a pretty big opportunity for a lot of roll hunting treasure hunters out there to find some neat errors, varieties, key dates, things of that nature. And right now, while you still can find mixed circulated Lincoln cents, probably the best and single most opportune time to do this. I don't see how this is going to be playing out the same way a year from now when we're talking about holiday season 2026. I don't think it's going to be nearly as easy, number one, and nearly as fruitful as it is this year. So thank you guys for joining in. We're going to be looking at some of these non-graded pieces right off of eBay from within the last day or so. We got a nice list, nice list. And right now is the time to strike if you're looking to find some neat stuff in the hobby today. Quick little shout out to channel sponsor Whatnot. We have our big Cyber Monday show. You won't want to miss it. Speaking of Lincoln Cents and the end of it, we are doing something pretty special this coming Monday, December 1st. That's going to be our next stream coming up. It is live and up right now for you guys to bookmark. But we are doing for one last go around, and I thought we were doing this one last go around a couple weeks ago, but we have our last hurrah into original banked wrap, original 100% Lincoln Cent BU rolls. That's right, everybody's favorite. These things have been hot. We're going to do it one more time for Cyber Monday. You guys might be able to get catch a deal here. And another way to catch a deal, sign up today. If you haven't signed up at all, you can sign up today under me, get $15 off anything that you choose, whether that's through me or one of the other great sellers on the platform. You can use the QR code on screen or use the clickable links that we have down below in the description box or pinned to the comment section of this video. It couldn't be easier, but we have some banging shows coming up here over the course of the next, I would say, 3 weeks. And we're going to try and guarantee delivery before Christmas. That's right. You've heard that line before. We're going to make it a reality here for you guys. So come join us on the platform Whatnot, greatest live social media auction site today. All right, we're going to go ahead and bounce right into this, okay? We're going to be go as quickly as possible because we understand that you guys, well, you got to hang out with family. All right, and that's important. 2001 D, New York Statehood Quarter. This one right here, as you can tell, has a little bit of a thicker rim. We've probably seen these before, right? And that's the reason why I even bring it up. Are these at all marketable? And I have to say, yeah, there's a little bit of collector value here with these. Albeit, it's not going to make you rich. It really isn't. But turning a quarter into $10, that's a pretty good magic trick, right? That's 1 quarter for a roll's worth of quarter is what this one ended up selling for. Now, is this what they call a broad strike? Maybe. It's not the most impressive broad strike, I will say that. More appropriately, this is a partial tilted collar. You can see it more so on the obverse there, right where the thick part of the rim kind of takes shape. You can also see that stepped area where the reeded edge is as well. So the collar positioned with a little bit of a tilt ended up making contact to that corner of the coin, producing what you see here. Kind of neat, it'll captivate your attention if you're kind of like a very observant change searcher, you might see something like this and think that is more than it actually is. But $10.99 is what this one ended up selling for, and I'm willing to bet that you guys will probably end up not tossing these back. $10 bill for a quarter, that's not bad. Next one that we have here, 1998D Washington quarter with a nice size curved clip. All right, what's even more remarkable, when you look at the front of the coin, you have that large clip that's right next to the L in Liberty. But when you look all the way across the coin where the mint mark is, you see how the rim is nice and flat right there. They call that a Blakesley effect, and that is simply just a contact tilt of the planchet before it's even struck, and during the striking process, it flattens out in that area right there. Normally, you would see it very strongly on one side, a little bit weaker on the other. Sometimes it's strong on both sides. And sometimes you don't see it at all. But, the Blakesley effect helps supports any sort of clip, whether it's a one clip, a two clip. You can find as many as 3 clips on a lot of these coins on certain occasions. This one right here, a really nice sale, $32.45, a 98D, a date that we don't typically see with clips on there. So if there's a collector out there that's finding and just collecting clips and they're doing it by date, this might be one that has been lost in their collection. Next one that we have here is an awesome one, a 1972 Lincoln Memorial cent that features the doubled die obverse. This is DDO version number 8, also affectionately referred to as the FS108. It's a cherry picker's guide variety. Same seller, selling a lot of these. Been finding them in, guess what? Those BU rolls I've been talking about. This is one of those marquee coins that we have to look out for. And then one of them, about 9 major double to dies for the date. That's why this particular one single date here is quite expensive if you're looking for a BU roll. Here's a few features to be on the lookout for. The doubling on the date isn't the most impressive out of all of the DDOs for the date. But when you look at also Liberty and the motto "In God We Trust," it's very, very strong. Very attractive piece here. This one ended up selling in a nice BU red for $119.95. And that's for a raw coin. Okay? Further, just letting you guys know, if you don't have to grade these, that's going to be your best bet. Save that submission money into your pocket, because you're going to have to pay the submission for that tier, in addition to a variety attribution fee as well, which is another $20. So definitely keep that money in your pocket, if and only if you know you're going to resell this piece, because they're worth a lot of money at high grades. And a pretty remarkable one here. I found a few that are, as big as this, but maybe the condition of the coin isn't as nice. This is a good old run-of-the-mill 1922 peace dollar. Very common date. But peace dollars and Morgans. Yeah, there's a lot more of these than meets the eye. And mint errors, especially one like this, where I believe this is a delamination right there on the obverse. If you look across Lady Liberty's profile there, from the eyeball going all the way through the hair into the spiked crown and then out into the fields by the R and T in Liberty. This thing is quite impressive. It's one of the largest and still very attractive peace dollars with a delamination that I have personally seen. So I was not at all surprised that someone had paid a fair amount of money for this. So this was offered as a best offer. So $307.79 was what was offered. Someone did put an offer in, and the offer was accepted. Now, I can't tell exactly how much that offer is, because the program that I use to check that is currently down right now. So for those of you that are using programs to find out, what the best offer accepted prices are, you might be able to find out what this is and comment below. Then, that would be awesome if you did that. But how cool is that? Man, something that normally we'd have to pay like $40 to own. If a dealer or another collector didn't care that they had a lamination on there and you could buy it at a non-error price, that'd be a good way to flip something like this with an error on there and then really cash in. This is a lot of money right here. Coming up next, not the greatest looking piece, but it's a 1964 Lincoln Memorial cent featuring a nice ragged clip. This is an end of strip punched out planchet, and you can see just the ragged nature of that clip. A far departure from like a curved, or a disc clip. This one right here has a nice kind of crusty, cavernous kind of edge to it. This one right here, by the way, selling for $34. It's a nice, well-circulated brown example. It's not the best-looking coin. And comparatively, this is where that kind of like saying goes, ugly sells. This is one of those coins, ladies and gentlemen, that we should never throw back. If we could correctly diagnose this as what it is, you could turn around, sell this, and make a little bit of money in the process. In this case, about a half a tank's gas worth if you're driving an economy car. Not too bad. We have also this beautiful 1983 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is struck off center about 55%. Very attractive coin. Nice date. You have a full readable date, by the way. Forget the fact that it is a copper-plated zinc composition coin, which kind of diminishes the desire for these, but I think they're neat as heck. This one, by the way, is selling for $44.95 off of 21 bits. Great pictures and nice patina on this one. It's very attractive. And it's going to go into a collection that maybe might need this for the date. Again, people do collect certain mint errors if they're readily available through a lot of dates. People like to do date sets of these. So this is one of those a little bit tougher dates. 1983s, we could still find out there. If this one had a mint mark, we wouldn't know what it is. But still, very cool mint error here. Here's another great one here for those of you that really like, some pretty nice, unique little mini series is what I call it. The 4-year date set of wartime silver Jefferson nickels is one to collect into. These are a favorite of mine. And guess what? There are a bunch of different varieties here that we could find. This one, by the way, is RPM number 2. It's not even a cherry picker's guide, and that's okay. This one is actually quite strong. When we look at the mint mark here on this 45D, you can see the secondary Denver mint mark punched south of the primary. As big as these huge, gnarly mint mark punches were back in the day, the mint employees, they were still double and triple tapping these things, just to feel like that they need it in a certain spot or location. Still, doing the work of the gods by providing collectors some neat varieties to look out for. This one, by the way, is selling for $22.45. A nice little premium of above and beyond a nice BU 45D without the variety. We have another delamination here. Laminations and all sorts of those type of minor mint errors like heating up. 1920, nice early date here. The coin is pretty well circulated, but when we look at the reverse, it's got a nice little wood graining on there, which kind of helps support the lamination on the obverse. There's an improper alloy mix that's really making this one, quite flaky on certain areas there. And this one just so happens to be just a big old delamination on the obverse. This coin's selling for $28.99 if you're hunting through circulated bags of wheat cents, and you come across this one, do not toss it back. It's not damaged. It's a great mint error, and these things have been gaining in popularity here as of late. Also check out your scrappy 90% silver. Laminations can also be found here as well. This 1954D Franklin half dollar features a nice swath of lamination on the obverse, right there behind Franklin's head, going through the head into about where the R is in Liberty. That's a lamination. It's not like super impressive compared to a couple of the other ones that we have seen in this video, but to give you a general idea, someone hit the buy it now button on this one for $34.98. And by the way, when I talk about prices, that also includes shipping in there, and that's why we have kind of these oddball amounts that these things sold for. $34.98 for a little old minor lamination, considering that melt on these is what, $19 right now. These things have been going up along with the price movement of precious metals lately, and even still, this one commanding a bigger premium than what we normally realize on such a coin. Next one that we have here is a 2000 Philly Jefferson nickel, a little bit struck off center, but primarily this is a partial tilted collar. And boy, is this a strong one. You can see that stepped edge right there on the obverse. I mean, there is no mistaking this one. That the presses were having lots of issues when they were striking a few of these coins at the time. So yeah, I mean, with the partial collar, and it struck off center. The collar was, partially engaged, but it was also just wreaking havoc on a lot of these strikes. This one, by the way, is selling for $42.90. Also, we talk about currency. Here's an awesome 1957 $1 silver certificate. This is a note, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's a 57 or some of the earlier dates, look out at the serial numbers. There's a lot to look for here. Fancy serial numbers, mismatched serial numbers is what this one is. When you look at the first few numbers on both of these serial number strings, one begins with 55, another one begins with 54. All right, so that one singular digit, the second digit, mismatched between both serial numbers. And that, my friends, makes a huge difference in the value. These things have been just getting absolutely ballistic. This one, by the way, is selling for $699. Such a just amazing amount of money. The note is actually in pretty nice shape as well. Probably a high-end VF, like a VF35, XF40 range is what we're looking at here as far as grade level. But boy, that would be a heck of a cherry pick if you're at a dealer. And guess what? Dealers, other folks, other collectors, they don't pay attention to things, little nuances like serial numbers. But maybe you might after this video. Neat one here. A dual error, actually. A 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent. Huge, centered, broad strike, but also has an indent, which means that there was either another blank planchet or already struck Lincoln cent overlapping this one, and then both were simultaneously struck together, producing this wildly insane coin that's probably as big of as a Jefferson nickel, maybe a little bit bigger. This one, bidding went all the way. 13 bids collected for a total sum of $24.64 on this one. 2000, by the way, is one of the more common dates for broad strikes and off-center strikes. First cut on the list. How about this? A Lincoln wheat cent right here. We don't know what the date is because that's where the cut is. That's a huge die break. A piece of the die had fallen off, and really doing a number on these. However many coins were produced after that piece of the die had fallen off will show a large blobless kind of raised anomaly off the coin that starts from the edge of the coin and goes into the design of the coin. This one right here, someone actually ripped a pretty good price here, and I have a feeling the photos did really not do this one justice. The coin, first of all, was imaged in a 2x2, and there was a lot of dust and dirt, and the coin itself is pretty well oxidized brown. It's a nice dark color, kind of hard to see the cut if you're not paying attention. This one's selling for $28.65 with 8 bids. 1929, nice higher grade piece. I'm going to say it's either a high-end AU, low mint state. Nice strike through on the reverse, right there where it says United States of America. Probably, a ball of grease with some debris and dirt and metal shavings and all sorts of other conglomerate things put together. That was sitting on the die, and when it strikes through to the coin, but none of that design details from the die carries through. What we're going to see is where that void is. This one, by the way, is selling for $58.35. That's a pretty good sale there on that one. Another cut die break on a much newer coin, a 1983. 1983 is getting all sorts of love here lately. Nice size cut die break right on top of Lincoln's head, as you can see there. And with that, you also have the corresponding weakness on the opposite side of the coin of where the cut is. In this case, right in the middle of where it says 1 cent is where it's missing there. $150.15 was the sale price on these. Cuds just absolutely going up in price to these just insane levels that I haven't seen. You know, it used to be, we talked about a coin like this a year ago, they'd sell for 50, 60 bucks. And now we're talking about triple digits here. How much more will these things continue to go up? And a lot of it is played on the fact that Lincoln Cent production is done. All right? People are now FOMOing out on a lot of other coins as well, not just singular dates of Lincoln Cents or 2025 Lincoln Cent boxes, which, by the way, are just continuing to go up. You know, there's no stop there. $150 for this thing. We did talk about a no mint mark 1982. Okay, so these were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And you are going to always look at every single 1982. If it's missing a mint mark, you have struck gold here. This is a very well-known variety. It's in the Red Book. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And for the first time, we have a very nice, well-circulated example. You know, the theory is if it's well-circulated, that certainly will affect the price. It did, a little bit. The last one we talked about sold for $300. That's a very nice mint state coin. This one is a little bit circulated, as you can see. It doesn't have that P mint mark, and yet still managed to sell for $205.98 here on eBay within the last 24 hours. Simply remarkable. Nice one here. You got a very nice struck reverse, but nothing on the front, except maybe a little bit of a Lincoln profile on there. This was struck through a later stage die cap, is what it is. Again, we've talked about these about as frequently as we do cuts, all right, because they're both very consistent. They sell for a good amount of money. This one, by the way, not perfect. It's got staining and carbon spotting on a coin that looks to be a copper-plated Zinken, but still selling for $39. Not too bad there. You know, pretty nice mint error. If you do come across this, just know what you have there. And our good old boy Ronald with another just really nice piece of currency. You know, he usually sells a lot of fancy serial numbers. This is not one of them. This is actually a paper money error. Misalignment, you know. I like the fact that he put both the front and back on one image so you could see the difference there. So the registration between the base second print and the overprint on the front could be a more obvious. Even the back print is a little bit off as well. So right before they printed that third and final installment of print where it has the serial numbers and seals, yeah, the sheet was slightly shifted a little bit. And that's what we have here. $133.49, 28 bids. Very impressive note. And boy, here's something we don't talk about that much. Mint errors on 2025 Lincoln Cents. It seems to me that 2025 Lincoln Cent production has been, for the better part, a very squeaky clean operation. Not too many mint errors. You know, we usually see die clashes on these things and various other things. Yeah, I mean, this I could say is probably one of the first documented, realistic, neat finds on a 2025. Aside from the fact that, single coins are selling for $2 to $3 today, which is crazy. I mean, I've never used the words so much more than I have today. Crazy, insane, unimaginable. 2025s are just they are the belle of the ball of the collector community these days. This one even more so. Check that out. Nice die crack that has a bunch of little die breaks and die chips that go into Lincoln's jacket right there. Guess what? This one ended up selling for $37.78 off of 11 bids. So there were people that were very, very interested in this. They bid it up to this amount, and that, my friends, is part of the market history for the 2025. There was also another one that did sell that is a little bit not as impressive. I think it was an earlier progression state of that one. It didn't have the big die chips on there, but it had the die crack that went through the jacket. That one sold, I think, for right around 25 bucks. So this one, the more advanced stage of that, commanding a little bit more. And then, of course, you betcha, to end off this Thanksgiving Turkey Day edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, how about this 1986, another big cut die break, very impressive, right over the word, or most of the word of trust there. There is no trust to be had here on this Lincoln cent. All right, and it's a very nice looking condition piece. AU, red brown or maybe full brown. Pretty cool though. Nice chunk of the die fell off on this one. And how about 150 bucks? Kind of like that 1983 we saw a few slides ago. The prices again just continue to impress. And people are they're collecting these while they can, while they're still being found. In the next 12 to 18 months, we're probably not going to see nearly as many of these modern dated cut die breaks of this proportion. But now we're seeing it. People are taking advantage of it. But unfortunately, that is also dragging along a much higher price into these mint errors if you're trying to get into them. I wouldn't wait too much longer. And that, my friends, is going to wrap her up for this one today. We have one more, I believe. We might have one more. Yeah, we'll do one on Saturday. Heck, why not? We'll be back from our vacation. Info in this video is for educational use, not financial advice. Please do keep that in mind. And thank you again for watching. Come bookmark that Whatnot show that we have on December 1st. Cyber Monday sale, a pretty big one for us here at Blue Ridge Silverhound. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And that, my friends, I am letting you go back to your families. Enjoy. Have a great holiday. Have a great Black Friday if you're going to do any of those sort of events out there. And I'll see you guys later. You guys take care. Love you guys. Happy holidays.